Monday morning to you. I hope everyone is doing well this fine Monday morning. What is this, the 18th, right? It's the 18th. I really hope everyone is doing well. Back home, if you will. Last week, had the pleasure of being up in Toronto, one of my favorite cities ever. Hanging out up there and was able to do a special 9/11 kind of tribute last week. Now it's back to the matters at hand and giving you guys and gals some Monday morning inspiration, and then also just some tactical thoughts around where you um, can think about this week as it relates to your leadership, your team, your stores, your market, and everything like that as well. So good Monday morning to everyone out there. How are you doing today, Christopher? Chris is ready to crush my week with clear, simple goals. That's that. You know what? I'm done. I don't even need to say anything more. You said it right. Clear, simple goals. Clear, simple goals. I think we, as leaders, sometimes we overcomplicate things, and you know what? I try my best. I've learned a lot in my overall experience. I learned my best and try not to overcomplicate anything. Let me start my little timer here on the side so I can make sure I don't go over time today. All right, cool. So I got to change that. So today's topic. Before we get into today's topic, I do want to talk about our sponsor for retail leadership with Steve Worthy, our Win Your Week, which is Bellwether. One of the things that I have learned, of course, throughout my leadership career was around data. And how do you um, look at data correctly? How do you get the right data in order to run your stores, in order to run your markets? And Bellwether is a company out of New Zealand. What they have done is create a software that helps retail professionals or retail brands get information around their customers' buying patterns, but more importantly, when customers actually come into the store, so you can make decisions upstream. One of the things that we have seen, of course, those who have been in retail for a while, is that there's a lot of data, but sometimes that data it's a lagging indicator of things that have already happened. The goal with Bellwether is to take data as it comes and then allow you to make decisions in real time. Real time in retail is 24 hours, right? 48 hours, right? That's real time in retail. As it relates to kind of being able to change your schedule around, as it relates to trying to change maybe your planograms around. That's real time in retail. So even a little bit sooner than that, but the data that you receive from Bellwether is going to help you with understanding your customers' buying patterns, but more importantly, how you actually need to run your business. So connect with them at askbellwether.com. Once again, askbellwether.com. I'm so happy that they're one of our sponsors for retail leadership with Steve Worthy. All right. So inspiration. Let's do this. I've been challenged by Mrs. Sherry Jones to share more of my Steveisms and things that I have kind of come up with kind of throughout my career, things that ideas and concepts that have helped me throughout my leadership career, things that I have taught other people to kind of understand and help grow them as well. And one of the ones that I use often, this is your inspiration for this morning, is that authenticity has no competition. And here's why I say that is because if we can be very honest right now, sometimes as a leader, you can become intimidated by other people. Sometimes in leadership, you can become intimidated by the role. You can become intimidated by opportunities that can possibly be afforded to you. And because of that intimidation, you shy away. Because of that, the shadow that someone else may cast over you, you shy away because of the fact that you may not feel equipped enough to actually do the role or actually be in that position. You shy away. I don't want you to shy away anymore. And here's why you don't need to shy away is because are you are fearfully and you are wonderfully made, right? You are the only version of yourself, right? You are the only version of yourself. I I was up in Toronto, and someone said, you know who you look like, and there's this character in this movie um, that I often get, he's, you look like him, in the role that he played. I didn't really like the role because he wasn't a nice guy, but I often get that. But here's the thing: he's not me, I'm not him, right? I'm not, and so it was just interesting when I thought about that. I thought about this authenticity has no competition. I am Steve Worthy. There will never be another person like me. There just won't, right? How amazing is it that all of us, everybody that's listening, whether you're listening to this live or on the replay, that all of us have different fingerprints. All of us. The uniqueness of who you are cannot be really truly explained, right? So when we start to think about our role as a leader, we start to think about our impact on people. Our impact is unique. Our impact, the things that we say and how we say them, our ability to connect with people is very unique, and it's our own. And when you don't know who you are, you become disingenuous, right? You become inauthentic. You end up becoming something that you are not. And guess what? You will be found out. Your team already knows, right? Here's the one thing that I will always I will tell people this all the time, and they don't listen to me. Your team already knows where you suck at, right? They do. They 100% already know where your gaps and your issues are, right? You can walk around and walk into your markets and walk into your store and act like you don't have any, but you do, and your team knows. And so when I realized that, I was like, you know what? Let me just be myself. Let me just be who I'm called to be. Because at the end of the day, if I don't be who I'm called to be, I won't be as effective as a leader. I won't be able to connect with people the way that I uniquely connect with people. Okay. So I came into his market, and I have a way of connecting with people. I do, and I'm okay with understanding my ability to connect with people. It is kind of it's a superpower, if you will. And I came into this market. I was new to the market, and I had a couple of friends and peers that I already knew who were there. And I remember one of my peers said this to me because we were giving out awards to our team, our store teams. And I just kind of I think I've been in the market maybe 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. I of course done all the store visits and yada yada yada. And so I'm like, I gotta figure out a way to connect with these guys, right? We gotta we're setting a new tone. And I remember my peer, they said to me, "Hey, don't be Steve today." I was like, what are you talking about? Don't be Steve today. You need to just you know, be like everybody else. And I was, I'm laughing just like I laughed. I'm laughing today just like I laughed then. And so we proceeded. My HR director and we just said no. Like we were like no. So we ended up playing. I was in the South, and no, kind of sort of in the South. And so this one song, of course, All I Do Is Win by DJ Khaled. You know, um, it was popular at that time, and I only knew the um, the first verse, which is ludicrous verse. And so so we was like, we're playing music as we bring people up. And so I just start rapping that verse, and my team just lost it. They just lost it. They were like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. My peers, some of my peers were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Some other peers were like, here's the thing. You can't let nobody stop your shine. You just can't. You just can't. They will try, they will try to cast a shadow over you. But if you remain true to who you are and the things that you want to purport as a leader, the things that you want to stand for, the values that you want to have as a leader, guess what? You will be there. The authenticity has no competition. There is no competition. The issue is that a lot of leaders don't know themselves. A lot of leaders haven't taken the time to truly know who they are. And I get it as a young leader, right? Even as a young leader, I, I would impersonate like famous leaders, even like my, like leaders when I was in the service, or my old pastor down in Charlotte, even John Maxwell, right? Because I didn't have a voice, I didn't understand who I was as a leader. I was still trying to find myself out. So my mannerisms and different things were not Steve's initially, but I had to get some coaching. I had to get a mentor. I had to help, and people had to give me feedback. And once I learned who I was and who I am, man, there was no turning. There was no turning back. So for you today, your inspiration today to understand is that authenticity has no competition. Empower through vulnerability. Lead yourself first. Those are my tips and from an inspiration standpoint today. Empower through vulnerability, and then lead yourself first. Those could those two right there could actually be two separate inspirations. But this is how I, um, these are some of the tactics, if you will, for understanding and utilizing the perspective that authenticity has no competition. You empower through vulnerability, and then you lead yourself first. That's the hardest person to lead, is yourself. All right. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Hope everybody got some somebody got some value out of that. This is not a drinking game. So, I remember in 2021, maybe 2022, when the Clubhouse, this is just a little side note, little funny bar. If anybody was familiar with Clubhouse, and you go on Clubhouse, and the word that everybody used was value. I just wanted to add value. I just want to add value. It got to the point where, people were playing like drinking games and stuff like that. So sometimes the word gets overused, but it's so true. It's so true. You have to learn how to, add some value for, where you are as well too. All right. So let's move into our topic of today. I can't get past this. I can't get past this just yet. Right. This is Q4. We're about to go into Q4. So I can't get past the ideas and around holiday sales yet. I mean, I there are so many other topics, and we're going to talk about more other topics here, down the line. Like next week, we're going to probably talk about data literacy, and that's really when bellwether kind of comes into play, is understanding some of those key metrics that you need to understand as it relates to your business. Not just understanding the metrics, but like, what do they mean? Like, what does data literacy like really mean? So I want to delve deeper, into that next week, as we kind of move into Q4. And then this idea around data literacy is going to help you not just in Q4, but it's going to help you as you kind of go throughout your leadership journey, as you move up the ladder, as you connect with people, communicate your business to your boss and your boss's boss. So we'll be talking about that next week. So, but I can't get past this whole deal idea around Q4 sales. So holiday sales. This is by Deloitte. Holiday. I remember they were Deloitte and Touche. This is when I got my undergrad in accounting, and they were the big six, and Deloitte and Touche was like one of the ones as well too. Holiday sales predicted to rise by 3.5%, but it's going to be slower. It's going to be slower than than last year. So we have to understand that. We have to understand that while sales in certain areas and certain companies, things may be going well, the rise in sales as you move into Q4 are going to be slight, right? Um, here's the thing: gone are the days of I'm gonna date myself here. Gone are the days of the Cabbage Patch Kid, right? Gone are the days of the iPad Mini. Remember when that first came out? Even the iPhones now, right? The new iPhone 15. So gone are the days of the PS4, PS5s, right? Xboxes, right? Gone are the days of the killer product that that will drive like everything else, right? Those of us who have been at retail remember all of those products, even flat screen TVs, right? Remember flat screen? I mean, right? Everybody probably has a flat screen TV now, a very thin one, and I remember when I left Boston and I was moving to Central New York. I had bought my first flat screen TV. Man, that TV was $1,700. It was a 55 inch, $1,700, maybe 18, I think. Right now, 55 inch, 290, easy, if not 190 on sale somewhere. I said all of that to say is that gone are the days of having those killer products. So there has to be an amalgamation of products that you have within your stores that are going to make up for that kind of that one impact, product. Right. I know Barbie's going to be really big. And I think not next week, but I think the week after that, we're going to talk a little bit about toys. We're going to talk about, some of the lists that are out there for Target and Walmart, because those are they're of course set to trend as it relates to kind of some of the toys, and also we'll talk maybe a little bit about fashion as well. Some of the things that are going to be out there for Q4. All right, but the core of this is that holiday sales are predicted to rise by only, that's actually not bad, only 3.5%. Gone are the days of double digits. Gone are the days of double. You'll have double digits in certain categories, right? You have double digits in certain categories, but overall, it's always gonna balance out, and it's always gonna even out as it relates to your overall sales. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Let me know if that makes sense. Give me those of you who are here and you want to put something in the comments, go ahead and let me know. That would be great. Those of you who are just hanging out, please, that's cool with me as well too. All right. Let me get over here to this one screen. All right. And just want to say good morning. Christopher's awesome. He's been doing great. Jamie, power through vulnerability. Yes, yes, yes. Hey, Byron. Good morning. Good to see you. Christopher Davis, great work, Steve. Thanks for this content. 100%, 100%, Christopher. Jamie, I remember when I worked in a video game. This is on LinkedIn. I apologize for those who are possibly looking on Facebook or YouTube. I always want to make sure I connect with everybody. Jamie says, I remember when I worked in the video game retail. Yeah, those big items launched. Yeah, days became of course, they were the killer products. They were the killer products. We were driven to push those big items. But then a year later, we suffered, of course, right? Because you didn't have it. You didn't have those products to make up the sales, right? You had that spike in sales one year, the next year, not so much. Not so much, 100%. Jamie, bit related to my experience. Cool, thank you, sir. I appreciate you sharing that. So here's the one thing to know. Here's the one thing to know. Customers' budgets will be different this year, and here's why I can say this with confidence. Here's why I can say this with confidence. You know why? Because your budget is going to be different this year, right? This, if you want to, if you want to if you really want to get a pulse on customer buying patterns and perspectives, one of the best ways to look at it is to look at yourself and maybe the segment of people that are around you. What are they talking about? It's a very small segment of the market, but typically we run in certain, as from a friend's standpoint, sometimes maybe even with our peers, we run in a very similar economic um, uh, uh, level, right? Salary levels are similar, right? It, they could be, but this is just from my own experience. Is that your peers, right? Your peers are typically on the same playing field as it relates to maybe your salary, unless they have more years than you. All of that stuff, right? And then you have your store managers who are at another level, and you look at their peers. A lot of them, once again, they're at the same economic level, right? And ask questions like, what are they buying? What are they thinking about? What are their concerns? What are their concerns? One of the best ways to understand customer buying patterns is to understand your own buying patterns and those that are next to you. We get so bent out of shape, thinking so big and broad about data that is right there in front of our face, talking to our customers, right? How many of you have actually gone into markets, gone to stores, and you walk into stores, you see the same customers all the time. You see the same customers all the time. And they come up to you and they talk to you. Oh, Steve, oh my gosh, the prices of this, the prices of that, whatever. Or when are you going to get this in stock? When are you going to, right? They come up to you and they know who you are, right? They know that you're the district manager. They know that you're the regional person, right? Don't shun those people. Have a conversation with them, right? These are the different things. What is it? What's their concern, right? I know it's a small segment. I know it's a small segment, but just think about that person. They are going through and looking at things in a one-off perspective. However, there you look at the demographics of your stores, right? Right, because hopefully that's what you do, right? If you have multiple stores, you're looking at the demographics, you're looking at the income levels, you're looking at their buying patterns, you're looking at the schools, right? You're looking at all this information, right? Because a lot of them are very similar as it relates to people who are actually buying products. So you have information that is right there in front of you that you can actually use. So understand that the customers' budgets will be different this year because guess what? Yours is going to probably be different. Hey, good morning. How are you doing? I'm going to see if I can put that up there on the screen. I think I got it on the screen. How are you doing, Florence? Good to see you this morning. Let me make sure I got that. All right, good deal. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense to everybody around the idea that if you understand your own buying patterns and those that are around you and probably your peer group, guess what? There's going to probably be some similarities there as well. All right. So that's know one thing. Let's talk about ask one thing. And I just, I have the tendency to move fast. My brain moves fast. And so here's the ask one thing. Customers priorities, right? I just kind of talked about that. Inventory levels of those products and pricing strategies. So I know it's supposed to be one thing. Cher's gonna get on me. She's only supposed to be one thing. I can't help but for you to ask one thing. And when I say ask one thing, I want you to understand asking yourself, but then also asking your team, right? Your peers, your boss, right? Also, what's not being said on your conference calls, right? We a lot of times we tend to I'm going to tell on myself too. We tend to multitask when we're on conference calls, and nowadays, of course, they're all Zoom, so it's hard for you to kind of multitask. Some of us will have additional screens open, and we'll be doing X, Y, and Z to do while we're on these conference calls. Understandably, I get it. I get it. However, we have to understand what's not being said as it relates to different products, initiatives, that things are actually taking place within our own companies. But more importantly, like, what are some of the things that they're talking about that are going to impact impact the industry. So inventory levels for those products. When I mean those products, I mean the customer's priorities. Like, what are they prioritizing when it comes to products, when it comes to sales this fall, right? What are the staples, right? We all know the commodities, and I don't mean commodities as it relates to toilet paper. I mean commodities as it relates to underwear, socks, all those different things for kids, even adults, all those things, right? Those just gonna go without saying. But what are they prioritizing? Are they prioritizing style? Are they prioritizing convenience, right? um uh, are they prioritizing um you know with the pandemic and everything with Zoom, you know a lot of people aren't um there was a lax kind of environment that kind of took place over the last couple of years. Um, even as it relates to being on Zoom calls and things like that, right? I mean, how many Zoom calls have you taken when you had shorts on, right? But you had you have a nice shirt on, but you had shorts or your pajama bottoms on, right? I think as more people go back into the into work, they're going to start to prioritize fashion a little bit more. And so I think we have to kind of think about that that change that's taking place within the market. We have already seen it a little bit, but I think as it relates to fall, people are going to be looking for better deals, and that goes right into kind of pricing strategies, right? How's your store set up? So understand this, and the majority of you get this when you look at your stores, right? Your stores are set up in a way that allows for browsing, right? Allows for browsing. I just had a great conversation the other day with Ian Scott. If you're on LinkedIn and you want to get some really good information from around like retail stores and what they look like over in the UK, and even sometimes he's over here in the States. He does an amazing job. But we were talking. I was interviewing from my book, and we were talking about Selfridges. So if any of you are not familiar with Selfridges, you should be, especially if you are in retail. You need to be familiar with Selfridges. Please, after we finish today, go look up Selfridges, read an article. There's also a show about Selfridges. He was an American, I think he was from Chicago, an American retailer who actually went over to the UK and actually started, if you will, the a new mindset as it relates to shopping. Because before, over in the UK, and those of you who are listening in the UK, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but there was more of a hey, if I need a pair of gloves, okay, well, let me show you this pair of gloves. There wasn't a touch and feel type of shopping experience that we have here in the States. And so now when we start to think about our stores, our stores here in the States, of course, now, of course, and going forward, are set up for browsing, are set up for shopping, but they're also set up in layers as it relates to, right. You walk in any of these big stores, you will see what we call loss leaders, or I call them experience starters. This is a Steve term. That's my own term. When you walk in Target, guess what? You see the little value bin, right? One, two, three, $4, $5. Once you put that in the basket, that starts the shopping experience, right? And so your stores are set up. Ideally, they should be set up for that immediate kind of impulse perspective of like, oh, I need that. When you really don't, they put it in the basket. So then guess what? You start to move forward throughout the store. Higher price points typically are in the back. There's a layering effect, right? But there's also experience, a little vignettes that we start to see throughout the stores, where people can experience different departments, different areas within your store. But my question for you is, how are you helping your stores in those areas? How are you helping and looking at your store differently every time you walk in your store? Even if you're a store manager, how do you like stop, like soon as you walk in, and not go right to your office? How do you kind of like take a pause and just look at your store through the customer's perspective, right? Pricing, your pricing strategy throughout your store is already sort of set by HQ, but you do have some leeway as it relates to when things are selling through, to make certain adjustments. And once those just and all as long as those adjustments are um, are able to be explained, 9 times out of 10 you'll be okay. But think about it as it relates to you moving to the fall, and what that pricing strategy is going to look like for your store. There may be already information that's out there, um, from a corporate standpoint, that you can actually kind of look at and actually utilize some of that information to educate your team on what that looks like, even like, when things go on sale, right? Because once again, we just talked about the budgets for your customers are going to be different. They want to know when things are going to be going on sale. So how do you, equip your team with some of that information, so that way they can communicate certain things? I know you want to sell things at full price, right? I get it, and you want margin. 100%, I get it. But if when it comes to helping your customers, buy more and also get what they want, you actually have to have a better understanding of all of this stuff as well too. All right, couple things before we move into the last part, which is do one thing. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this. All right, so all of you who are have been in retail for a while, and you've been to certain let's say you've been to certain conferences. A lot of those conferences aren't geared towards retail leaders. A lot of retail conferences are not geared towards retail leaders. they are geared towards the industry. They are geared towards, tech and understanding supply chain and all that stuff. I completely get it. I understand that. However, there needs to be more retail leaders on these stages. So guess what? We created our own stage. Actually, April Sabrell created the own perspective on helping retail leaders have their own conference, which is Rise Up the Retail Summit in 2023. Amazing list of leaders that are actually going to be speaking. It starts tomorrow. Um, I and myself, Dean, and myself, we will be kicking it off tomorrow. I will be talking about approachability. Honestly, is a secret weapon for any retail leader. It is it is going to be an amazing summit. It's going to take place from the September 19th all the way through the 24th of October. Amazing leaders. Kimberly Lee Minor, like come on now. I mean, ridiculous. Retail leaders, you've been asking for this, right? We know that a lot of the educating the processes and training and development processes within retail organizations are broken, right? We know that they are limited. They are limited. They will teach you only what they want to teach you. But if you want to go to some of them, if you want to go to the next level, you have to invest in yourself. You have to take a stand of understanding where you are and what it is that you want to do. Attending summits like this, attending conferences like this will equip you so that you can become not the leader that everybody wants you to be, but the leader that you truly want to be. So you have to join us for Rise Up Retail Summit. I'm stoked about my session. I've been, dealing with this idea around approachability for the last 6-7 years. It has been my secret weapon. I know it's been a secret weapon for a lot of other retail leaders, but we are going to talk about it in a different perspective because I'll just put it to you this way. Every retail leader smiles differently. And you need to understand how you smile, how you connect, and how your approachability will help you save time, retain some talent, but more importantly, also increase your ability and your capacity as a leader. So make sure you join us. The link right there is, retailu.ca. Go click on there and, get your ticket for Rise Up Retail Summit. And then on Thursday, 11 a.m., 11 a.m., 11 a.m. I'm telling you, once again, our 11 a.m.s are a vibe. You typically don't say that in retail in the audio room, but they are a vibe. We play some music at the very beginning and we just have some fun. But we're going to be talking about a topic that has been the most asked for topic since I started my podcast. And so this episode is not just going to be a live, but I'm turning this one into an actual episode for our regular podcast, and we're going to be talking about how to handle a toxic work environment. I literally cannot wait for this one. I have so much information, but I'm going to try my best to limit it because I can get lost in the concepts and perspectives of what I want you to learn. And we are going to be very crystal clear on what I want you to get out of this podcast episode and also this live audio room. It is going to be amazing. You do not want to miss it. Every Thursday at 11 a.m. And it's actually only on LinkedIn. So we just do the LinkedIn live audio room. So excited about that. All right, cool. Let's get to this last one. What do you do? What do you do? So what do you do? And this one is, Chris said it earlier at the very beginning. He said it earlier. He said he's ready to crush my week with clear, simple goals. And this is why I resonated with what Chris said so much, because this last piece right here is exactly it. It's very simple. Teach your team to be nimble. Teach your team to be nimble. In this world of retail that we are in, it is important. It's extremely important for you to teach your team how to be nimble. The ability for them to actually see opportunities and been able to seize them. Right, that's what we talk a lot about in leadership, is your ability to be able to see opportunities, not just see them and just do nothing, but to actually seize those opportunities. Right, and the only way that your team is going to be nimble is through the fact that they trust you, right, and that you trust them, right. because your team will have information and insight that they will want to share, but they will only share if they feel that you are going to listen. They will only share if they feel that you're actually going to do something with it. So everybody wants their team to be nimble, right? But you have to be nimble yourself. You have to be curious, right? Curious and not judgmental. So, as it relates to pricing, as it relates to budgets, as it relates to planograms, as it relates to schedules, moving people around, all these different things as we move to fourth quarter, right? Hiring, staffing, right? You have to be nimble. You have to teach your team to be nimble. But as a leader, you have to be nimble. I can actually make that whole thing into an episode myself about how to be nimble. Because if you're not nimble, guess what? Your competition is going to be nimble. Your peers are going to be nimble, right? And you're going to get lost. And we don't want that for you. We want you to win your week. This is why we do what we do every Monday morning. All right. Um, I hope you were able to get some value out of today. Next week we will be talking about data literacy. I typically, don't have a topic until like later on in the week, but I did want to hit on data literacy, next week because I think it's a topic that um, I want people to have a better understanding of, and how do you actually, what does it mean, right? Because you know, I, I hear this all the time, and I'm going to close with this one because this just goes with like being nimble. You know, know your P and L, right? How many of you as retail leaders have heard this, right? Know your P and L, know your P and L, know your P and L. Understandably so. A lot of retail leaders don't know their P and L. They may know sales and payroll, but your P and L tells a story. It tells a story of your business. It's not just doesn't tell the it's not just a lagging indicator. It can help you, make future decisions based on intuition, based on data, based on talent, productivity, um, corporate initiatives, right? All these things play a role in understanding how you look at your P&L and make decisions. So we will be talking about that next week. I'm actually super excited to discuss that with you as well. I'm going to find an article that actually helps with, better kind of understanding that aspect as well too. So that way we have a jumping off point as well too. Jamie, I really appreciate you, sir. And Jamie's one last thought. Thought of customers' priorities. Yep. So the high streets. The high streets in the UK, man. There was a big report out just the other day about the high streets over in the UK. Saying that they're dead. You know, and they're not, and they're not. I think any parts of retail, when we start to think about things being dead, what do we do? How do we do it to ourselves? As either retail brands or retail leaders, some of the things, right? I understand the customer buying patterns could be down, but some of the stuff that we do, we end up doing to ourselves as well. Cool, Chris, and then Chris, nimble, my new word for this week. Excellent, Chris. Christopher, I appreciate you. Yeah, teach your team, man. Teach your team. Teach that team how to be nimble because I'm telling you right now, you will get the most out of them. All right. Thank you so much for being here for Win Your Week, Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy. See you Thursday at 11 a.m. LinkedIn Live. It is. And some of y'all is not gonna like me, after that one because when I start talking about toxic work environments, a lot of it's you. A lot of it's you. All right. Here we go. That's a little tease. I'll see you on Thursday. Also, and I'll see you next Monday. Have a great day. God bless.